أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بفضل الله بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، الحمد لله والحمد حقه كما يستحقه حمدا كثيرا. الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله. اللهم لعن أول ظالم ظلم حق محمد وآل محمد وآخر تابع له وعلى ذلك. اللهم لعن العصابة التي جاهدت الحسين وشايعت وبايعت وتابعت على قتله، اللهم لعنهم جميعا. ثم الصلاة والسلام على خير خلق الله أجمعين محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين، واللعنة الدائمة على أعدائهم أجمعين إلى قيام يوم الدين. قال الله العظيم في كتابه الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم: وما تدري نفس ماذا تكسب غدا وما تدري نفس بأي أرض تموت. آمنا بالله، صدق الله العلي العظيم. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. Tonight's subject was going to be a continuation of the series that we are discussing, but instead it will be continued tomorrow night. Because this morning news came to me that one of the youth in our community passed into God's mercy, alaykum as-salam, in the early hours of the morning. And it was just that as I was preparing my discussion and moving along with that discussion, and as we were strolling along with our lives, preparing ourselves to wake up, to go to our workplaces or to go to school, then in a sudden moment, death approached. So I thought it would only be fitting for me to suddenly stop this discussion and bring in this subject. Because this subject comes, and this subject, when the actual death approaches, it doesn't come generally with any moment of preparation or anticipation. You're going about your daily life and it's sudden. But how is it we never ponder about this subject? That it's so fearsome we seldom think about it. When was the last time someone thought about death? And I'm not talking about death as in the subject, as in someone's plant died or something so petty, or an expiry date on something they're about to drink or eat. No, I'm talking about your death. That you, living here, at any moment will cease to exist on this planet. And if you were to compare your entire life, or the entire life of humanity from beginning to end, and compare it to the hereafter, it is not even something worthy of comparing. If I was to ask you to compare a grain of sand to a mountain, you would say there is no comparison. You know, as they say in Arabic, أَيْنَ الثَّرَى مِنَ الثُّرَيَّ. How can I compare the earth to the universe? Can you even compare that? Can I compare the earth to the universe? No. This world to the next world, there is no comparison. And this is why in the Quran, يقول الإنسان will say, يا ليتني قدمت لحياتي. And if you notice, it says, only if I had brought forth for my life. And when you say which life, There is no other life but eternity. It's that life. Now, death is usually a subject that attracts people towards faith. Death is a subject that attracts the faithful to becoming more righteous and following their religion correctly. Because knowing that that moment where my life will suddenly cease exists. And I'll remind you, and I keep telling people, if you were to put what happens, you get your phone, get any of the Google search, you know how it gives you suggestions, just write what, before you even write happens, just write what space H. You know, the first thing it suggests, what happens when we die. That's the first thing it suggests. Why? Because people ask this question. People are interested to know, what is it that happens when we die? And Allah says in the Quran, introductory verse, وَمَا تَدْرِي نَفْسٌ مَاذَا تَكْسِبُ غَدًا. You don't know what's to come to you tomorrow, what will come in your direction, what you are to acquire tomorrow. وَمَا تَدْرِي نَفْسٌ بِأَيِّ أَرْضٍ تَمُوتُ. That you do not know where you will die. Now if you look at it, the youth that passed in the God's mercy this morning, how many of the shabab, how many of the youth go out in their cars on the nights of Shahr Ramadan? Now we're not going to talk about the circumstances involved, because I don't know the circumstances, whether they were speeding, whether they were not speeding. Because I don't know all these. But what I do know is a few boys went out for a drive and probably did this regularly, knowing that they will return. And there was more than one person in this car. There was, I think, about 4 people. And only one died. One of them died. Who would have known that this situation would have taken place? Definitely not the one that passed into God's mercy. And definitely we will not know this when our time arrives. We can come up with many scenarios. You know, people always like to be wise after the fact. You know, Israel, they were driving fast. Someone say, oh, you know, they're probably driving erratically. Oh, you know, my son's a good boy. He sleeps early. He doesn't. You know, everyone comes up with their own scenario. God knows what happened. You know, people sit down. They sit down on afinjan ahwe, kabeh chai. They have a coffee or a tea, and then they decide to give the resolution to what took place. But Allah says in the Quran, أَيْنَمَا تَكُونُوا يُدْرِكُكُمُ الْمَوْتُ وَلَوْ كُنْتُمْ فِي بُرُوجٍ مُشَيَّدَةٍ. Stop making up these reasons how things can happen. Wherever you are, death will come to you. Even if you are in a lofty tower, you're locked away from the world. This is how death comes to you. Could be anywhere, any place. You know, sometimes you look at people that you think, if I was to look at an older person or a young person, who will die first? Most people say the older person. But I don't know. It could come to anybody else. Firstly, we know it's a reality that cannot be avoided. So when you take a look at what is death, generally it's looked at something and it's abhorred and it's feared. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam says that خُلِقْتُمْ لِلْأَبَدِ. So when you hear this narration, the Messenger of God said, you were created for eternity. وَإِنَّمَا تُنْقَلُونَ مِنْ دَارٍ إِلَى دَارٍ. That you were not created to stop existing. You were created for eternity. And all you are doing is moving from one home or one abode to another. From one place to another. This is all. When you understand what death is, it makes it easier for you to accept it. And how can you not accept it when it's inevitable? This is the thing. How can I sit there and put blinders on like it doesn't exist? I know it's very easy in this world because in this world you're never reminded of death. In fact, you don't have anything that tells you death is coming around the corner. When was the last time you went outside and there was an ambulance driving through with the Quran being played and cars behind it, and then there's a coffin being carried and people marching behind it? When was the last time you saw something like this? When was the last time you heard an announcement of someone intaqala ila rahmatillah? When was the last time you heard someone passed away? It's not like that. It's very hidden. So much so that they don't even want you to have graves anymore. You know that? They really push people to cremate now. And that's what people do. So when's the last time you watched a movie? In the old days, you watch a movie, you see a coffin being lowered into the grave, ashes to ashes, dust to dust, and they start saying the prayers. Now, every movie, the main character's got an urn of their mother's ashes or their father's ashes, or they sprinkle the ashes out at sea. You're pushed towards this cremation. Why? We don't want these tombstones. We don't want people to be reminded of death. And the next question is, why do we die? See, this is death. Death is a transition. But why do we actually die? Question people ask, why do we die? So people look at this world as if it is life. If you notice when someone dies, they say he used to love life. You've heard that saying before? And that's why when they die, they pour liquor out, or they drink liquor on their behalf, or they party. They go, because he was a person that loved life, let's continue this party. Let's drink on their behalf. Let's keep them alive. But why do we die? Allah Azza wa Jal says, الَّذِي خَلَقَ الْمَوْتَ وَالْحَيَاةِ لِيَبْلُوَكُمْ. Allah Azza wa Jal created death. Allah Azza wa Jal created life. Why? So He can try you. In another verse, He says, ثُمَّ جَعَلْنَاكُمْ خَلَائِفَ فِي الْأَرْضِ مِنْ بَعْدِهِمْ لِنَنْظُرَ كَيْفَ تَعْمَلُونَ. The first verse says that we created you to try you. The second verse says we created you so we can see how you may act. To try us, we have been tried. So we've all reached our expiry date. We've already been tried. First trial you're trialed with, that's it, you've been tried. How we act, we've all began to show how we act. The longevity or the period of time that you remain on this earth is what Allah Azza wa Jal has written for you to live. Certain actions increase your life, certain actions decrease this initial life that has been written, but we have all reached our expiry date. So basically we are ripened fruit waiting to be plucked. At the moment you're plucked, that's it, that's your turn. This is the way I have to perceive it. And once I am ready, I can't complain when I'm taken. That I have to be ready, whether I'm ready or not, I've been taken. I can't say, hold on, stop, I need one more thing to do. No, it's all over. And in this sudden moment, your life ends. Now we look at the next point, and that is, why do people deter from death? Why are people afraid of death? Generally, if you take a look at the people that don't believe in God, they fear death. And they have a reason to fear death. Why? Because their belief in death is the cessation of life. That death is the end of life. That when I die, it's the end of my life. I no longer exist. Could you imagine this? Nothing. Of course you would be petrified. You would be horrified if this is what you believed. And the other two groups are different. Because when we say, do they fear death? Not everyone fears death. There is a group that does, there is a group that doesn't. The group that does of the believers that fears death are the people that commit sin. Those that commit sin fear death because they are coming towards their accountability, their hisab. And this is why they deter from death. Allah Azza wa Jal makes this clear about people that are of the ones that are near to God, the ones that abstain from sin, that they yearn for death, when he mentions in Surah Al-Jum'ah, قُلْ يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ هَادُوا إِن زَعَمْتُمْ أَنَّكُمْ أَوْلِيَاء لِلَّهِ مِن دُونِ النَّاسِ فَتَمَنَّوُا الْمَوْتَ إِن كُنْتُمْ صَادِقِينَ. Allah says, because you always hear the Jews say, we are God's chosen race, we are the chosen people. He said, if you truly believe this, if you think that you are God's favorites, you are the ones of greatest proximity to God, you are the nearest ones to God, then he says to them to invoke death, or ask for death, or want death, if you are truthful. Could you imagine right now, you knew that when you die, you will enter A'la Aliyyin, you will enter the highest place in paradise. Would you even want to stay here for a second? Do you even want to live the torment of this world? Who would want to stay here? Also, you look at the true awliya of Allah Azza wa Jal, they always await death. Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib salawatullahi wa salamu alayh says, Wallah ibn Abi Talib anasa bil maut min at-tifli li thadi ummih. That he says the son, he says by Allah that the son of Abi Talib is more comfortable and familiar with death than a child is with his mother's breast. You know, an infant that, you notice when an infant, when they're hungry, they make all this noise. The second they get close to their mother, the noise goes down and they get into this change of agony towards ecstasy, this happiness that they've achieved. Their what? Their destination. Yes, I'm about to be fed. All the problems of the world will be solved in a moment. And this is how Amir al-Mu'mineen salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi felt towards death. And in fact, when we mentioned this several years ago when we began the series of the God-fearing, I mentioned one of the sayings that Amir al-Mu'mineen says, وَلَوْلَا الْأَجَلُ الَّذِي كَتَبَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِمْ لَمْ تَسْتَقِرُّ أَرْوَاحُهُمْ فِي أَجْسَادِهِمْ طَرْفَةَ عَيْنٍ. That the muttaqeen, if it wasn't for a set time that Allah had written for them to live, their souls would not remain in their bodies. They yearn. They yearn to leave. They yearn to meet with their Creator. Even with the example that we are given with Ibrahim al-Khalil, when when Malak al-Maut comes to take his soul, and he's known as Khalilullah. When you think of this term, it's hard for you to even comprehend what this term is. Khalilullah, so much so that when Ahlul Bayt alayhum as-salam used to mention his name, unlike the other prophets, they would say ala nabiyina wa alihi wa alayhim, or alayhi afdal as-salatu was-salam, or alayhi as-salam. As for Ibrahim, they would say alayhi wa ala nabiyina wa alihi. They would mention him first. He was Khalilullah. They would give him that respect because he was the dear friend of God, a close friend of God. That when Malak al-Maut came down, if you look at the situation with Sulaiman, when Malak al-Maut came to take his soul, he didn't even allow him to move. But in the case of Ibrahim, he even allowed him to question. And Ibrahim says to Malak al-Maut, when he comes to take his soul, he says, have you ever heard of a dear friend that wants to take the life of his dear friend? And Malak al-Maut says to Allah, do you hear what Ibrahim says? Then Allah Azza wa Jal says to Malak al-Maut, tell Ibrahim, have you ever heard of a Habib? Someone that is beloved, that does not want to see the one that he loves. This is a lesson for us. يا حبيب من تحبب إليه. If you are near to God and you love Allah Azza wa Jal and you have close proximity to God, then you yearn for death. That you are ready to accept this moment. طبعا there's the element of where we miss the one that passes away. Asbagh ibn Nubata, when he was standing over the body of Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib salawatullahi wa salamu alayh, after Ibn Muljam had struck him, and he was weeping, and Amir al-Mu'mineen said, Ya Asbagh, oh Asbagh, what is it that you weep over? For by God it's al-Jannah, that I am going towards paradise by God. And then Asbagh says to him, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, I know where you are headed. I know it's Jannah. ولكن أبكي لفقدان إياك يا أمير المؤمنين. I cry because I will miss you. So that element is there, and we accept this. That someone weeps over someone that dies. And that's another discussion. Our discussion is about our own death. How do I deal with my own death? This feeling comes to those that are near to God. A bit like when you're at work, this is just a small example, and the hour is finishing. The hour of the day is finishing. Right near the end, you have that feeling, yes, I'm about to go home, it's over. There was one example I remember back in I think it was in the mid-90s, when Robert Fisk, he made a documentary, he was interviewing Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah, and he was asking him about martyrdom. So Sayyid says to him, and this is a very nice interview, because he says to him, listen, I can't explain it to you for a way that you understand it. He said, but how it is, imagine that you are in a sauna. Anyone's been in a sauna or in a steam room, it's extremely hot. He says, and someone just opens the door slightly and that cold breeze comes in of coolness. And they say, come inside and have a cool drink. He says, this is a way you can understand, for you to understand. That you're in this ultimate heat and there's a coolness if you exit this door. That feeling towards this, to move out of this heat and this atmosphere where it's so hot and move towards the coolness that there is. And this is why they yearn for it. So either I'm of those that has already committed so much that I'm afraid to die because I know my time will come, or I'm of those that have brought forth for my next life. I've built my home in the next life. They ask Abu Dhar, why is it that we fear death? Some of the companions, and he says, because you have destroyed your akhirah and you have built your dunya. And who likes to leave construction to go to destruction? Who do you know here that likes to leave their home to go live out in a derelict house or a broken down area? If they said, oh, there's a broken down factory, no one's lived in there for the last 60 years, but you have to leave your comfortable home and go, and especially now in this cold. Someone says, go live over there. You say, hell no. I'm happy where I am. But someone that has built the hereafter, he's waiting to go there. They've built their house. They've made up this house. And this is why, if you look at the stories when we talk about Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, where we talk about Burair making a joke on the night of Ashura, and they tell him this isn't a time to be making jokes. And he says, between me and paradise, I'm not going to say the exact terms he says, just in case some people hate me, between me and paradise is for them to cut me or kill me with their swords. He says, I wish they do it now, not tomorrow. yearning to get this reward. And they say that every time a marty fell, the face of Imam Hussein became more brilliant. It became more illuminant because he knew his meeting was coming closer and closer with his Creator. See, let's not let death surprise us. Let's be ready for it. Once, this is a story I generally mention on every death that takes place. One of the brothers in the community died. This was many years ago. He died in a car accident as well. And I met one of his friends and he was very upset. He was gobsmacked. And I said, has your friend's death affected you? He said, yes, a lot. I said, good, then you must have started praying, because this person didn't pray. You must have started fasting, Shah Ramadan. And he said, no. I said, then it hasn't affected you. How does a death affect you? Do you think by making YouTube videos and making them a like page on Facebook and this is how? No. This is not how a death affects you. A death affects you is you have taken heed to this warning that your day's coming. And if I love someone that has died, I read the Fatiha for them, I do good actions on their behalf, and I change the way I am. I use them as a sign for me to become a better person. Because I don't want to be of these people that only awakens when they die. Even though we have the hadith says, النَّاسُ نِيَامٌ فَإِذَا مَاتُوا انْتَبَهُوا. We have a hadith that people are asleep and that when they die they will take heed, they will wake up. Then they'll be paying attention. They'll be awoken with this death. But I want to be of those, at least I've got half an eye open before my time comes. Because when the time comes, it's a time of questioning. And this is when I need to think about, and if you read Dua Abi Hamza Thamali, it speaks about that process. That when you are lying and you are being washed, and then the kafan's being put on you, and all this moment is speaking about you. You're talking to Allah about yourself. My death. While they are washing me, they are putting my kafan on, while they take me and then they bury me. And the narration says, Hatta idan saraf, once you've been put in the grave. Al-mushayyi'u wa raja' al-mutafajja'. Once you're put in that grave, this is the moment I need to think about. And the mushayya' are the people that followed the grave. You know, the ones that follow and leave, the early ones. And then it says al-mutafajja'. You know who the mutafajja' is? It's those family members that have still not come to terms with this death. The ones that remain next to the grave and they weep the most. So the narration says, after the mushayya' has left, the one that's followed the grave, and the mutafajja' has left, this is when you are seated. And why I say you and me, because it's us that we should be thinking about in this moment. It says, أُقْعِدَ فِي حُفْرَتِهِ. This is when you are seated in your grave. Then it says, أُقْعِدَ فِي حُفْرَتِهِ نَجِيًّا لِبَهْتَتِهِ. Or نَجِيًّا لِلْبَهْتَةِ. That you are seated, and when it says البهتة, this is a thing when it talks about when you are in that state of confusion. You're confused. Why, if I answer the truth to the questions of what I have done, I'm going to be punished. And if I lie, they already know I will be punished. This is the point. Why do I enter this state of confusion? Why do I place myself in this state of confusion? This is Shahrullah al-Mubarak. Shahru Ramadan. This is the biggest energy boost you will receive the whole year. And you are only in the 5th night. Samahta Sheikh mentioned in the 2nd night of his speeches, he mentioned that you are given all this time so you can be ready for Layali al-Qadr, that they don't come immediately. You've been given all this time for you to, what? It's a tune-up for you to be ready for Layali al-Qadr. But each one of these nights, or each one of these days that you pass, you do not understand the amount of reward you are gathering, the amount of sin you are losing while you are fasting. This is why when we read dua, وَأَعُوذُ بِجَلَالِ وَجْهِكَ الْكَرِيمِ, when we read this dua, we ask Allah Azza wa Jal that this month does not pass, this night does not pass, and there is still a sin on my name. That I leave this earth cleansed. That my meeting with my Creator. Why wait till tomorrow? Why wait till tomorrow? Now's the time. Can you guarantee tomorrow? Who here guarantees they're going to live till tomorrow? Our dear friend that passed into God's mercy this morning, he was only 22 years old. May Allah have mercy on his soul. He was only 22 years old. And may Allah have people around to say, so they can say, may Allah have mercy upon us. He didn't know his time was going to come. And neither do we. Don't wait till it's the end, it's too late. Don't wait till that. Now's the time, make the decision, so that when I'm in my grave, I'm not approached by munkar wa nakir. I'm approached by mubashir wa bashir. I'm approached by people that are there to give you good news that you've done. And I'll just leave you with one last thing, and I'm done anyway. That there's a narration that there will be people that will enter paradise without seeing anything. They don't see the grave, they don't see the day of judgment, they don't see anything. They die and they enter paradise. And even when they are questioned, did you see what was in the grave? They say no. We died and came to paradise. One good example, you see this is in Surah Yasin. When it says about the mu'min in Surah Yasin, after he witnesses the death of the messengers being killed, you know what he says to them when they're being taken to be killed? قَالَ إِنِّي آمَنْتُ بِرَبِّكُمْ فَاسْمَعُونَ. So bear witness that I believed in you. At this moment he is grabbed and he is killed. They say that when the knife is being put across his throat so they can kill him, the moment it touches, he hears قِيلَ ادْخُلِ الْجَنَّةَ قَالَ يَا لَيْتَ قَوْمِ يَعْلَمُونَ. He heard enter the paradise. He didn't hear anything but enter paradise. He saw nothing, but he entered paradise. But if you are to enter paradise, two things you are asked for. Number one, to be happy or be content with whatever God has given you. This is the first thing. Whatever God has given you. Rich, I'm happy. Poor, I'm happy. Good wife, I'm happy. Bad wife, I'm happy. Good husband, I'm happy. Bad husband, I'm happy. Good children, I'm happy. Bad children, I'm happy. Whatever God gives me, I am radhi. Ridhan bi ridhak. This is the first thing. The second thing you are to do is the sign of who the Shia are. You want to know what a Shia is? Imam al-Sadiq sallallahu alayhi says, Shi'atuna إذا خلوا عن الناس ذكروا الله كثيرا. The our Shia are the ones that when they're away from people, they remember God. Do you know what that means? They remember God because, why does he say when they're away from people? Right now in the Jam'iyya, you're sitting here in an Islamic center, you're around Muslims. You know, we're all on our best behavior. This is natural, human nature. We're all doing the best thing we do. But when I decide I'm going to go on a holiday to Thailand, there's no one there to watch what I'm going to do. I go to the Sunshine Coast, there's no one there to watch what I'm going to do. This is the point. When I'm home alone, there's no one there to watch what I do. This is the point where I need to remember my Creator. If I have these two qualities, the narration says that these people enter paradise بغير حساب. They die and they enter paradise. We ask Allah Azza wa Jal to grant us paradise without حساب ببركة الصلاة على محمد وآل محمد.